Sky Blue Fans TV and a packed show tonight. We've got lots of guests. We've got our usual team, well, almost all our team, because Ken's working and Miles is taking some time off because he's looking after his little dog, Alfie, and he's recovering, which is the main thing. And that puts a smile on Miles's face and ours. We've got a Leicester City fan. Yes, we found one who's willing to come on. That's Jack from the Final Whistle. And we've also got Dan from the USA. We seem to be picking up fans from all over the world now. And that's another from the USA. Well, we're going to talk to Jack first. And, we're going to ask him if it is like having the sword of Damocles hanging over you with the prospect of having 12 points deductions. I mean, you're going to have to get probably 82 points to get into the playoffs at least. And we're going to talk about the David Speedy night, formation, selection, score predictions, and also a bit of fun. What shall we call the anecdote now that we own the ground completely? And of course, that was named by Wasps, I think. Anyway, let's get our team on. Jack.
Good evening. Good evening.
Evening, Jack. And you looking well?
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
I just was saying, Vicky, who's been on a cruise, has just returned.
Hi, guys.
Doing a bit of pillaging. We'll bring in Dan from the USA.
Hey, how's it going?
And last but not least, very well, thank you, Dan. Last but not least, we've got Jack from the Final Whistle, our Leicester City fan. Evening, Jack. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm excited to be on enemy territory. So, yeah, it's all good. Bring in the questions. Bring it on.
Bring it on. See, I'm not going to get riled, you see. This sort of thing doesn't bother me whatsoever. Now, I mentioned the dangling of the sword of Damocles over you, the prospect of the points deduction. What's it feel like when when you don't know what's going to happen, and you probably are thinking we need about 82 points, but just in case we get the 12 points deduction, what's it feel like?
It's a situation no Leicester fan knows what's happening. We've been charged 3 times by the Premier League, but it just feels like they haven't got a case against us so far. That's probably why we haven't heard anything. I'd have sort of looked at it and thought they'd do it before the start of the season, so we know what we're dealing with. But the thing is, now Man City are doing what they have done, and Chelsea's things have come up and all that. They've sort of looked an eye a bit elsewhere. Whether they do a lot to them teams is another matter. But there's just no certainty of what the points deduction is or if it even comes. So we're just doing our things on the pitch at the minute and picking up the points. And then until then, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? Because the Premier League and the EFL finally have sort of joined hands, haven't they, in terms of, we can punish a team who's probably should have been punished in the first place. I mean, they should have just punished you when you're in the Championship, really, because it probably made no difference, would it? That season, you'd have got promoted anyway, pretty much. It's just a bit annoying, isn't it?
It is annoying, yeah. I think we should have just took the punishment last season. We were going to go down anyway, so you know what the Premier League's like these last few seasons. Teams ain't been staying up there, have they? To be fair, they have spent in their well means, but you can spend whatever in the Premier League. It doesn't really sort of say you're going to stay up. But if we took the punishment last season, we just got it over and done with and just focused on this season without it hanging over our heads.
Briefly touching on last season, were you expected a bit better? Were you disappointed with what happened? Because I thought you'd make a bit more of a fist of it, to be honest.
Well, that's what I thought. We were getting fisted every week, innit? We were getting battered pillar to post, We had Steve Cooper. No Leicester fan really wanted him, to be fair, to start off with. We spent £80 million. We spent £25 million of that money on Oliver Skipp, for God's sake. And it sort of told the story with Leicester that things wasn't great. We did get quite a few points under Steve Cooper, though. I think we got about 12. But then he obviously lost his job. Ruud van Nistelrooy comes in, and you're thinking, can he sort of change it? He started off well in the first 2 games, beat West Ham, drew to Brighton. But then the cliche comes of, no manager was really going to keep us up no matter who came in. We were chasing Graham Potter for a very long time, and he ended up blocking our number the amount of times we actually phoned him up. So it's like phoning an ex-girlfriend up, and you can only a certain amount of times you can actually ring them up until they just want to get rid of you because they're fed up. So I think with Ruud, you know, he can give all the excuses he wants. He was crap for us. You know, I just think he was arrogant about the way he went about things. He probably thought he was better than what he was. And what did we go, like 1 win in 17?
Yeah, it's interesting because our fans, obviously, when you started with the first 2 games doing quite well, and we were okay under Frank, straight away, some of our fans were saying, we should have had Ruud van Nistelrooy. Why have we got Frank Lampard? And by the end of the season, I think most of our fans are very happy that it worked out that way. Of course, with Frank, we don't defend, which is interesting. We just like to attack. But watching your guys, I think you just got exposed a lot, didn't you? You just don't have the players in the end, I think, to keep you up. And it didn't. And the frustrating thing was for me, watching as an outsider, was I just wish the 3 teams who went down had made a better effort, because Man United and Spurs were struggling. And I reckon with a bit of pressure, the outcome could have been totally different last season. But it's almost like when you got within touching distance, it all fell apart again. You know, it must have been so frustrating.
Frustrating in the word. I think we're wrong, Kin, to be fair. I think that's the word we're looking for. I think we were just glad it were over, to be fair. It made me depressed in you. People were saying, why do you still go to games, even though you're losing every week? I say, it's the love of the club and it's the passion. You'll always support your club through thick and thin. But, yeah, you know, every goal we concede, the first goal, the heads would drop and we just keep getting battered and humiliated every week. And we think, can we end the season now? You can't, can you? You've just got to see it out. And we did pick a couple of wins up at the back end of the season, beating Ipswich and Southampton, are obviously still with us in the Championship this season. So, yeah, I think this season was the case of win as many games as we can, because we wasn't used to winning last season. We're too busy taking the L. Yeah.
I was looking at the start of your season. Now you're currently, I think, a point above us, but performance-wise, do you think you should be where you are? Has it been good or a bit indifferent? I saw the game against Blues. That was quite a feisty affair, wasn't it?
That was our best game.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I was in the pub as well, so probably looked better than I thought. But so, what do you think so far? Then the first 5 matches.
I think it's been decent, 10 points out of the first 5 games. I think it's been good. We obviously know that the Championship's going to be tough. It's not an easy going, It's not an easy given that you get these 3 points. You've got to work hard for them. And, Oxford made it tough for us. Sheffield Wednesday, when we played them, the situation they had that siege mentality. We had to come back to win there. We beat Birmingham, and obviously we picked up points along the other way as well. The Preston result, we were just crap from start to finish in that one. And obviously under Martin Cifuentes, you can see what he wants to bring to the table. He's got a real togetherness in the squad, and he's only picking players that actually want to give a shit about the team, to be fair, who actually want to do well mentally wise. And I think the Martys started off well. It's just early days, isn't it? I just think right now we're quite happy where we are in the league. And hopefully we can just push on and keep picking up the points as we mean to go on, because everyone's wrote us off.
I'm going to ask you another question. Let the guys ask you a question as well. So where do you see your attacking threats coming from? Because, you've had some new additions into the squad also. And, of course, Jamie Vardy leaving, has that made an impact to the feel of the squad more than anything else? Because I still think he could have done a job in the Championship, really.
He could have, yeah, but there's always a time when you obviously need to move on, and with obviously he's been the talisman for bloody 13 years, isn't it? Banging in the goals left, right, and centre against every team, to be fair. 500 appearances, 200 goals. You can't finish your career better than that, can you? He's the greatest ever Leicester player of all time, and yeah, you miss him, of course you do. I'd rather we'd brought somebody else in rather than give Ayew the number 9 shirt, personally. We've got Daka at the club who can't really hit a barn door. I'm sorry. He's had long enough to prove that he's up to it, and he clearly isn't. So we brought Carranza in. I've not seen much of him. I can't really tell much of him, but Jordan James is a fantastic signing, done well in the Championship previous with Birmingham. So we had a decent transfer window and bringing loans in, but I think we could have been better in probably spending money on a striker, someone like Ivanovic from Millwall.
Yeah, I suppose the problem is you don't know what's going to happen with this PRS thing. So it's
Nah.
you've always got your hands tied, haven't you? Because can you
Yeah.
actually spend anything at the minute? Is that an issue?
I think that's the thing. But then when you're handing out bloody big wages the way we are, that's our problem. This is what's got us in this mess. We're giving big, massive wages out to some bang average players. We gave Connor Cody, I think he was on 70 grand to start off with. We updated it to like 100 grand just because we went up.
Nuts.
Jamie Vardy were on a fair crack. I think Harry Winks is on about 90 grand a week. So I think this summer was also about draining the swamp, as we like to call it at Leicester.
Yeah.
Get rid of these players on these high earners and, get the wage bill down. And I think that's what we wanted to do, and start fresh again and just go again. Start fresh, I'd say, with us in the summer.
You guys want to ask Jack a question?
Yeah, first one from me. Where do you see the Coventry threat from your point of view? Do you see it as, I know Lampard likes putting crosses into the box, but do you see it as one specific player, or do you see it as an attacking unit?
The thing is with teams, you can't always look at just one individual player. You look at the whole team performance. If the whole team performance is there, you obviously do well in games, don't you? And if it's not, then you obviously rely on these individual players. Obviously, Jack Radoni's impressed. You can see why Southampton wanted to pay some good money for him. I think he's been your real key man. Van Nieuwijk, is it, the right back? He's been quite good for you lot. I know you lot have been quite frustrated with Ellis Sims, haven't you, and Haji Wright in recent times regarding the amount of goals they're getting. You'd obviously want a lot more from your strikers, which you should at the end of the day. They should be the pivotal of your team in scoring the goals. But no, I think the midfield battle is the key one for me, to be fair, at the weekend. I think if we can win our first and second balls, then I think we do quite well. But I think we're going to be a side who's going to let Coventry sort of come at us a little bit, sort of soak up a little bit of pressure, and then sort of pick the spaces in what you lot sort of leave either in the middle or behind.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's a good shout there, Jack, because that's the one thing we do. We push up high, our fullbacks do, and the two lads, the centre halves, are all over the place, if I'm honest. I mean, that's why I think we got Luke Wolfenden. The sooner he comes in, the better. I mean, that's a guy you probably should have gone for, actually, instead of Connor Cody. I mean, that's a fine example of a player.
Yeah, I was glad we got rid of bloody Connor Cody, to be fair. Absolute waste of time, big eye earner, and yeah, I'd had enough of him, to be fair. The guy spent more times on bloody Radio 5 Live than that in Talk Sport and whatever podcast you want, and you want a player who's committed, this so-called leader. It was just a bloody epitome of it, it was like a myth, the guy would say whatever. He likes to speak a lot in it, but he never does really much in his actions. And I was glad Connor Cody left. He wanted to leave Leicester on a free, but then our director of football said, well, we want money for you. Until then, you're not going anywhere. So obviously Wrexham's brought him for 2 million, aren't there? And what a fantastic bit of business that is for Leicester, because how bad has he been for Wrexham so far? He's been terrible. And Wrexham fans want him out already, so I'm not surprised.
Well, I'm hoping he keeps his place till we play them, actually. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, that's the problem, though, isn't it? I often think if you're doing well, you don't care that your player's on the media all the time and spouting off a load of rubbish, whatever. But when you're struggling, you're thinking, just stay out. Yeah. How can you talk about positioning and where you should be when you're having a mare every game? You just don't need it, do you? You just don't want them in the public eye. That's
the epitome of it with footballers, though, isn't it? They speak a big game, but it doesn't matter. It's what you do on a football pitch that matters. And Connor Cody did that a lot last season for us. He'd say, oh, the boys are up for it. We're going to give a good fight to this. Yeah, we didn't see none of that. We've seen you more times on your arse than you did doing everything else. Okay, mate, like, what are we actually paying you for? To talk bloody shit on Radio 5 Live or actually give a good account of yourself on a football pitch?
He's obviously trying to get a job, isn't he? That's what he's doing when he packs up playing football.
It's crazy. Yeah, just give him a microphone and an headset, and I think he'd be fantastic. He'd look like a bloody gamer playing FC26.
A bit like Troy Deeney. He cracks me up when he's on Match Today. I'd want to ask you about your owners, because obviously following the tragic death of the father, I shan't even try to pronounce his name. Do you think the sons have got the same passion? Because obviously the dad did. And I got a feeling that I don't feel the same kind. It wouldn't surprise me if the right offer came in, they would walk away. I think it's got to a point now. It's almost like it was the dad's passion, the whole thing, wasn't it? And to build up the area, all the local stuff in the community. I mean, we got Doug King, and to be honest, he's kind of doing it on a smaller scale because he hasn't got as much money as your guys. But it does feel for me that the sons haven't got the same sort of passion that the old man had.
I think Top's committed. I think the last name you're looking at is Sri Brahada Papa. That's how you pronounce it, yeah, for anyone who's listening. But no, obviously, Vichai, God rest his soul, he built everything for Leicester. They called him the possible man because he made that dream possible, for any team. What Leicester did, that other teams can go and do it. So it gave you that sort of thing to say, well, if Leicester could do that, why can't we dream big and do these type of things? And that success was massive, When he said he'd had a 5-year plan, we'd be in the top 6 in the Premier League. I'm thinking, okay, then, is this guy talking good or what? We were in the Championship at the minute. I think we were about 10th at the time. Yeah. And, you just believe what he's saying. You're thinking, okay, then we'll see what happens. And to go and do what we did, win the Championship, we obviously got the Great Escape the following season. And then to go and do the big juggler at 5,000 to 1 the following season after, it's the epitome of football. It's still the greatest achievement in sporting history, I think, for Leicester. So it was always going to be difficult for Top to come in and do what his dad did. They're obviously two different people. I think it brings a lot of pressure. I think for Top, he was still learning at the time, so you needed to really come in and do everything quite quickly. I think everything was unexpected for him at the time with his dad's death and that. And he had a big job on his hands. Obviously, he's got to run King Power as well, which is another business, and obviously OH Leuven and that. So it does come with obviously big expectations and that of running football clubs and that. But the thing is, with the hierarchy at Leicester, they've not helped themselves in the situations that they've got themselves in of how much we've been paying out in money. We've been spending more on wages than actually bringing in at the football club. And it sort of epitomises that we've sort of took an eye off things. But the success we've had in the last 10 years, it's just amazing, Teams would love to have what Leicester's had in the last 10 years. It's a roller coaster supporting our football club, but I think the owner is very committed. I wouldn't see him selling the club anytime soon, unless there were desperate times that he did have to do it. But right now, I just think we've pressed the reset button and we're just going to go again and see what happens and go with what got us into success in the first place. I think that's what we needed to do.
Now, of course, it's the M69 Derby. If you're as old as me, it's the A46 Derby. Or if you're even older, it's the Fossway Derby. I don't know. Yeah. And to be honest, Jack, when I was growing up, Leicester City wasn't a rival match for me. We're Wolves. It was in the early 70s. It was always Wolves, and then Villa. And I think it only really started with Leicester in the mid-90s when Martin O'Neill turned up, and just that midfield, I think Savage, Muzzy Izzet, and Lennon, wasn't it? Which was an absolute beast of a midfield and so annoying. We just could not beat Leicester. It became frustrating. There's one season where we lost 2 home games all season, Villa and Leicester. I mean, you just couldn't make it up, could you? But what about you, Vicky? I don't remember, say, when you started watching City to start with in the 90s, that Leicester was a rival.
No, not in the early 90s. It was just Villa really then for me. But then late 90s, and also then I worked with a Leicester fan, and he was always giving me jip. So that sort of started off the rivalry for me.
Yeah, it's strange. What about you, Dan?
I mean, I can't remember anything growing up, I guess. When I first went to Highfield Road, maybe in the early 2000s, and then I don't remember much talk then. I guess we were already in the Championship by then. But I guess a lot of people tell me that we kind of had a rivalry with Villa, and then when Villa got promoted and we were, well, at least when we got relegated from the Premier League, we had to start kind of rivalries elsewhere, which is when the kind of Leicester rivalry started. So,
yeah, the Cov Hinckley rivalry is massive as well. That's but of course for Jack though, you're of the age where you probably see Leicester City as a rival.
You say that, but well, sorry, myself, you say that, but well, I don't know. For me, we haven't played a lot in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Until the last season, we haven't played each other since 2012. I started going to games in 2015. So to me, no, we're not a rival. We had one season of rivalry, and then they were back in the Premier League again. So this is my third game against Leicester that I'm experiencing.
So what about you, Jack, then?
Yeah, we do see you as rivals. You know, you're our closest rivals than bloody Forest and Derby at this point. Obviously, we have had some great games over the years, haven't we? Derby, Forest, Coventry. You know, they're Midlands derbies, aren't they? They're good, you know. You obviously like to have them little bragging rights, don't you, with these teams? You know, this one's a big game for us, to be fair. Coventry fans talk a lot about it. Leicester fans talk a lot about it. There was a fan on a Coventry fan on Twitter said this is a bucket list game for him for Coventry to go and win at Leicester. So I'm thinking that shows how big it is for you lot, to be honest. But, you know, you sort of take them things with a pinch of salt, a bit of banter in it, to be fair. It is one that both fans want to win. I've seen some great games with both sides. Obviously, we have won quite a lot of the time since moving, obviously, to the Walker Stadium, it was called back then. I think last time you beat us was 2001 at Filbert Street. So, yeah, I see it as a derby. I do. It's the M69 Derby, and both sets of fans get up for the occasion every time we play each other. We just like to beat each other, don't we, really?
Exactly. Now, we'll go on to score predictions. Last time we played, I believe we won at our place in what was the most incredible 10 minutes of second-half football I've ever seen. As I said to Callum O'Hare, the best 10 minutes since my wedding night, that was. The amount of excitement. It was an unbelievable game. And obviously the first game of the season where we played really well, then for some reason Mark Robbins took Gustavo Hamer off and gave double-barreled name midfielder who's gone to Chelsea. What's his name? I'm trying to think. Did he go? I can't remember. The midfielder.
Dewsbury Hall you're on about.
Dewsbury Hall, yeah.
He's at Leicester. He's at Everton now, isn't he?
Well, Everton, sorry. Yeah, but he basically gave him the run of the pitch for the last 20 minutes and turned the game, didn't he, on its head, that last 20 minutes. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to be bold here and say I can't see us winning because we concede goals. That's what we do. But I can see a high scoring 2-2 draw because we do attack a lot. And we need one shot to get to 100 shots on goal already this season, which is ridiculous. The fact that if you stood in the corner flag or row Z, you'd probably you'd be closer to the ball than being in the back of the net, to be honest. But I think there's going to be goals, and I think it could be a high scoring draw. So I'm going to go for 2-2. Jack?
Which one?
From Leicester?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game, to be fair. It's a game I want to win this season. It's a tough fixture for us, to be fair, this one. I think it's the toughest of ones that we've actually played so far. Obviously, the form you lot are on. And, yeah, Leicester have got to be up for this, to be fair. I think, our captain spoke about it. It's a big game, and we want to win. So I think it could be a tight game. To be honest, I think we'll get a feel of each other first half, and then second half it'll really start to kick into shape, to be fair, like it did last time. So I'm going to go for that sort of type of game, to be fair. And hopefully, if red cards do come our way, hopefully it's for you and not for us, because I know last time we got sent off, and that changed the game massively in your favour. And then you obviously beat us 3-1, which I sort of might grain out my memory, to be fair, because I was there that day and I was bloody in disbelief. Coventry fans were giving me shit after. So yeah, I want to win this one more than anything. So I'm gonna go 2-1 Leicester. I'm gonna back us.
Dan?
It's an interesting one. I think it's strange that there's quite a few players that played in the game a couple of seasons ago at the CBS and that are still playing now. I think we're obviously different sides now, and we've got Grimes in the middle. I think controls game's a little bit better. I think we had Eccles and Sheaf in the middle for that one. So I don't think it'll be as open unless Fatou wants to get himself sent off again in the first half. But I think we have to be optimistic. I'm gonna say a 2-1 away win for the Sky Blues.
Oh, blimey. Vicky?
I was going to go 2-2, I'm not going to go 2-1. So basically, you've nicked my score predictions. I mean, I agree with Jack, really. I think it's going to be a really tight game, and this could go either way. I think it's going to come down to just some like fine margins on the day, really. But I think, having just got back off holiday, I'm feeling all optimistic and positive. So we're going to go 2-1. Yeah, then we're going to go 2-1 to Cov. That's it. Yeah, 2-1.
Blimey. Jack with a hat.
Well, you talk about we haven't actually won at the King Power Stadium. The last away victory for us was at Filbert Street, and that was 19 games ago. We've only beat Leicester twice in the last 18 games, both at home. 2008 and obviously January 2024, only 18 months ago. It's a tricky place to go by the looks of it. They've got Premier League players, Premier League money, but we're on the up. So I'm going to go for a positive draw. I think it'd be 1-1, but I don't see either team having enough to, convincingly defeat the other one. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
So that's it's all very nice, wasn't it? All very friendly. Wait till the game starts. Jack, thanks for coming on, and obviously, wish you all the best of luck. Apart from on Saturday, of course, and hopefully half your team go down with some sort of stomach bug. I'm sure it can be arranged.
I could say the same for you,
I'll tell you what is good though, Jack. The amount of Midland teams up the top. It'd be fantastic if 3 went up. With the others that stay in the Premier League, be great for next season. Because it's about time Midlands football got more of a showing on TV. And at the minute, it's the North West and London show, isn't it? But it does my head in anyway. That's why I've rarely watched the Premier League now. So anyway, Jack, thanks for coming on, and I believe Jack is going to pop over to you later on, I think. So,
yes, look forward to that.
Yeah, I'll see you in half an hour, mate.
Cheers, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming on again. Thanks you very much.
Cheers, Jack.
Well, there we have it then. So I suppose we should go to comments quickly, or a quick word. I'll tell you what. Yeah, comments first, I think, Jack, because there's going to be loads. Yeah,
of course. So we've got our quite regular £4.99 donation from Lee Beckett. Again, good evening, Lee, and thank you very much, as always. Salop CCFC says, evening all, would like to see 3 at the back for Leicester for a change and maybe a little less expressive with the football. Might solidify things. We'll talk about the team and the formation shortly, I'm sure. Mark Packnan, evening, guys. Really looking forward to the big Leicester game on Saturday. See, the fact he said a big Leicester game just proves it is a derby. He said it's big.
I was trying to play it down.
Well, he's gone now. It's fine. He's gone.
I didn't want to come across as a small club. You know what I
mean? With better finishing, I think we could whop Leicester 3-1. Well, Mark's very optimistic. Cliche Man says, anything along the lines of this is a free hit or our season won't be defined by Leicester away will be a straight red and a 2-show ban. So be careful.
All fine margins, Vicky.
Well, you say that. Vicky's actually on a yellow. Well called, Claudio. Vicky, your first yellow of the season, I believe. Welcome back. Ian Small says it's unfair to any club to have these points issues hanging over them. It is.
He's right.
Even in all, it looks like Claudio's shirt collection is creeping up on him. Are they getting closer, Claudio?
I don't know. They're moving.
Paul Hughes, evening from Bahrain on the way to the Maldives. How the other half live, eh? We'll be watching on Saturday, PUSB. Steve Curry said the new name for the anecdote, the Dougie or the King's Arms, or the Dugout, he says. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit, I'm sure. Autism Monkey said I'd call it the Phoenix Lounge. That's not a bad idea.
Sounds like a strip club.
Should we pop to Phoenix Lounge after the game? Yeah. After the casino. Paul Hughes, I don't know about that, Claudio. I've been chased around Filbert Street enough in the 70s. Big rivals for me.
I must admit, Filbert Street was a bit like Highfield Road. There's some areas around the ground which wasn't great. Absolutely wasn't great. And I didn't realise just how close it is to the original ground, all that area. It's a clever bit of development. It's a shame the council didn't do that with our ground, Instead of, anyway, I won't go on about that. We own it now.
Dave Sports Photos says something I can relate to. Walsall were our main rivals 8 to 10 years ago. Got quite fierce at times. Yeah, so my dad always tells me that his first away game was Villa, and he's big local derby. My first away game was Walsall, and we drew 1-1. That doesn't sound very glamorous, does it? And that was a derby 10 years ago. I certainly see it as our derby, says Richard Hanna. Not sure if people talk it down, not to show the compliment to Leicester, as Claudio said. Atmosphere at the CBS last time says it all. And Lee Beckett says 3-2 Cov, Bobby 92nd minute header, amazing limbs. Well, there you go. There's a few score predictions. Wayne Brereton says 2-2. Salop says 3-2. Steve Price reckons it'd be great if we can get a point away, then beat Birmingham. 4 points out the next two would be fantastic. Rich T, you can't predict Cov at the moment, but he's made a prediction. It's 3-1 to us. Talking sensibly, we're going to do a derby on them, 5-3 to Cov. Salop CCFC is reminding everyone to like and subscribe. That'd be fantastic if you could all. Phoenix Bar sounds better than Lounge. Yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, he's right. Lounge does something you get in corporate. True. Rob Murray says, I work in Hinckley. Monday will be heaven or hell.
Yeah.
Go on, Claudio. Your turn.
Surely working in Hinckley is just hell anyway. So. Oh, Mad Frankie, it'd be a big statement if we beat these six-fingered banjo players. Yeah. Let's put 5-1 Cov. Look at that.
Green Day Richard 5-1 Cov. Wengo said, I'll drop a like now the Leicester fan's gone. Excellent. 3-3 from Chris Foster. That's going to be an exciting one. My wife's work car park is the old Filbert Street pitch location. Oh, interesting. There we are. We're up to date with comments. So keep your comments coming in, everyone.
My worst night ever at Filbert Street was not even to watch Leicester. It's to watch us play Luton Town in the League Cup match where Luton had banned away fans, and the only way we said we'd play them if it was on a neutral ground, or they'd play us because they wouldn't come to Highfield Road. So we played them at Leicester. We were shocking. We were absolutely rubbish against Luton that night. I think we lost 3-1, I think. Dreadful performance. Dan, thanks for coming on. We'll get you in now. So a bit about, are you a Cov lad? Are you a local lad gone to USA, or you just stumbled across Coventry City on the telly?
No, that's it. I'm from Coventry. I'm family in Camden. I think actually my mum's neighbor actually commented on the stream. I spotted that. So hi, Wendy. So originally from Coventry, moved over here. Actually, funnily enough, the last game I went to before I moved out to the States was in fact Leicester at the CBS 2 seasons ago. So I was there when we won 3-1. Then moved out to the US a year and a half ago in New York, and I've not managed to find many Sky Blues fans over here, as much as I'm trying to indoctrinate all my American friends to wear Sky Blue often and come to watch some of the games. But yeah.
Of course, there's Jonah Fat Cat, Sup Gang. There he is.
There you go.
He's in Buffalo, but he's from New York State, I think, originally.
That's where Buffalo is.
Yeah.
Not a Claudio. Get your American geography going.
Well, I know about the American Civil War. I can tell you all about that, but
that's because you lived through it.
Yeah,
you were there.
I started it. Yes. So Dan, I've got to say, your accent's it's a bit kind of Australian, if I'm honest. Or
honestly, I'm not kind of rocking this mid-Atlantic thing at the moment. I think since moving over to the US, it's kind of muddled, but it wasn't, I never really had a true Coventry accent. I think growing up, my mum's from like Bath way at the southwest, and went to university in the north, and lived in London for a few years before ending up out here. So yeah, it's a little muddled. So
your first game then, can you remember any memories on your first game?
I do remember. I think we were in the Premier League. I actually think it was the season we got relegated. So I don't know whether that's a good luck omen. I was young at the time. Must have been 2001, early 2001. I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I think it was against Charlton at home at Highfield Road. Was my first game, and then it didn't go up so often. We obviously moved to the Rico, and then had my first season ticket, I think 2009. So yeah, pretty much a loyal since then.
Yeah, see that the Leicester fan talking about how things have gone for Leicester in recent years. It can't. When they won the league, now this sounds a bit weird. At the time when they were at the top, I didn't mind because I thought it was a bit funny that here's Leicester turning over these big boys. But then they actually looked like they're going to win it. I was thinking, hold on a minute. What's going on here? Surely the other team's going to catch them up. And they didn't, did they? They completely fell apart. A lot of them, they won the league. And then I was kind of annoyed. I thought, why them? Why not us? Is what I kept thinking. I see all this stuff happening to other teams. But of course, we weren't lucky enough that when we went into administration, there was no points deduction. You could wipe the slate clean and start it all over again, which is what they did. Basically, we didn't have that. That wasn't given to us, was it? That choice of clean. Yes, the slate was clean. Bournemouth got hit with 17 points. Rotherham got hit with 17 points. We got hit for almost 20 points. I think we did get hit for 20 points overall. In fact, I think Rotherham was 37 points in the end. Luton got completely relegated out of the league, and there was Leicester. No points deductions, no fines, no. Well, I'm not even sure they did get fined, but anyway, they sort of resurrected, didn't they? And just carried on as normal and started signing players the next day. So I was kind of a bit cheesed off, actually. Anyway, that's my little rant for the evening. So looking forward to Saturday. It is a big game, of course it is. And we had. Did you watch the game, Dan, on Saturday?
I did, yeah.
Now, I've talked about this. We talked about it on our show, and I talked about with Jim Brown last night. I actually thought we played, on reflection now, we played really well. We just couldn't score the goals. That obviously the XG, as we keep getting told, showed that we should have. What did you make to that game?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I think as well, you only have to look at the stats. I think we had something stupid like 28 shots or however many it was ended up being on target. I think that a few people have made the point that if we score early doors and we get the goal and whilst we're on top, then there's a chance we run away with it like we did when we free scoring against Derby and what we did against QPR, and it was like for like. The only difference being we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, I guess. But yeah, I think it was, as you say, I think we're on top. Obviously, I think this is going to be a lot different. They're a very different side. I don't think Norwich are mugs by any stretch. I think they're obviously a good side. They're well drilled. They've got some good players. But I think this is going to be very different. Throw in the element of it being the derby and the M69 Derby as well. I think it's going to be a bit. I don't think they'll let us kind of be as free flowing and let us have as much of the ball early on as we have in, at least that we did when we played against Norwich. So I think it's going to be difficult to really get going. So that's my only concern, is that we probably won't have as much of the ball early on as we'd want to. It might frustrate us, and then that kind of opens up the game a little bit for Leicester to kind of do what they do with the players they've got. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think probably the best argument to not change the starting 11 too much. I think you'd have to leave it. I don't know what you guys think, but I think you probably have to leave it as it is for now.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because the chat I had with Jim Brown, I'm going to now publicise the Sky Blue History podcast, which is currently on Spotify, is that we were talking about Ben Sheaf, because he's gone to Wrexham. And I said, this is for you, Jack, because you obviously were there watching the game. If Ben had been on the bench, there would have been no reason whatsoever to bring him on. He would not have improved the team formation, the situation at all. And I think that's so selling him for 6.5 million was brilliant business now when you look at it, because Ben wasn't going to come on to improve things, would he?
No, Ben comes on when you're 2-0 up and you've got to coast out 10 minutes and you got a midweek game, so Matty Grimes could do with 10 minutes rest, so you put Ben Sheaf on. That's when Ben Sheaf would come on. In barely any, or if you're 4-0 down, you're thinking, let's just consolidate a bit. In no other circumstance does Ben Sheaf come off the bench and make any impact whatsoever, unfortunately. He was a great player for us 2 years ago. I don't want to, slander him, but I did stats on the Thursday after we'd sold him. Whenever, some people were up in arms, some people were saying, great business, loads of money for us. But we are technically a better team without him. Since his debut, we are a better team without him. And that includes games he was subbed on for. I mean, take Tottenham last year, for example. We were 1-0 up, 5 minutes to go. He brought Ben Sheaf on thinking, get some minutes back in his legs, and we lost the game 2-1. And Sheaf was at fault for one of those goals for sure. So no point do you put Ben Sheaf on and think, we might get a goal here. Ben Sheaf's the man you take off to put a Victor Torp on and go and make that killer pass, go and run around, go and kick someone, go win the ball and put a cross in. and Ben isn't that player, unfortunately. And again, we said it a couple of weeks ago that Ben is not an impact sub. He might be captain material. Some people disagree with that. And when fit and firing, he is one of the first names on the team sheet. But we didn't see much of that in the last 2 seasons.
The other thing we spoke about last night was that we're looking at January already to the transfer window, and this is for you, Vicky. And it's something you sort of mentioned, that there's no point in actually signing anybody who actually can't get into the team, because that's where we're at now. If we're going to sign people, surely we want. I mean, we've got the guy Kessler Hayden, who would normally play in most championship teams, can't get in our team because of what we've got in front of him. That has got to be a better position to be in now, hasn't it?
Yeah, and that's. I mean, for me, Milan has looked great this season. Back to the first season, I thought he was very up and down last season, and I suppose that's what we need now, isn't it? Players that are going to come in that either go into the first 11 and improve the first 11, or are so good that they drive the first 11 to be even better than they are. So that feels a bit like what he's done now. He's come in, and Milan thought, oh, I'm not safe anymore, and that's driven his performances forward, hasn't it? So it's just about like incremental improvements. But I agree. We don't want to be wasting money on players that don't add anything, because it's not that we've got unlimited resources, is it? And like Jack, the Leicester fan was already talking about clubs that waste money on players and wages that like add nothing to their squad, and that's how you get yourself into a financial pickle, isn't it? And we've had enough of those financial pickles, so we don't want that again.
True. And going back to Saturday, I thought, I don't know what you think, Dan, Jack Rodoni, who I thought was real. And some people said he didn't have that great a game. I thought he was great on Saturday, and Grimes as well. And I think what Jack was saying earlier, the Leicester fan, it is our midfield. We do need Grimes. We need a Torp playing as he does at home, and we need the same from Jack Rodoni on Saturday, surely, because that's the engine room, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think all 3 of them were had a really good game, and I think that's probably why Rodoni didn't stand out as the individual. I think all 3 of them kind of played their part, and I think it's such a well-balanced midfield now. I think that I was a big fan of Sheaf, and I took a slightly more pessimistic view of him being sold. That it was good money, it was good business if we replaced him, but my concern was that when you look at the bench, and you've got Jamie Allen, who I'm less of a big fan of, and Eccles, who I think is a good championship player, and I think that the player we definitely should have kept, and I'm glad we have kept. But you look at that midfield, I think it's you could make a case for it being one of the best in the division, and I think definitely competes with the likes of Leicester as well. And I think all 3 of them, when they're firing, I think it's so well balanced that I think they all had a great game. But it'd be interesting to see if Rodoni gets the space that he needs to do what he needs to do. And I think that happened a little bit, I think, on Saturday as well. I don't think he was given much of a chance to create. They weren't letting him pick up those, spaces in behind in the pocket and turning and playing out to the wing backs overlapping. And I think we'll struggle to do that. But I think he's. You only have to look back at the game a couple of years ago. O'Hare obviously scored a couple of goals in that game, and I think every Coventry fan will tell you that Rodoni's an upgrade on him. So, I think that says a lot to kind of where we are and where we've come. So,
well, I think the reason we've had 100 shots is because of our midfield. Basically, they are getting into position, and they must have had, I reckon, more than half of them. Surely, our midfield. They definitely contribute.
I don't know. The three strikers that were on the pitch had some woeful shots on Saturday.
Well, there's one incident when the ball came across the box and the Sante and Sims both missed it. I thought it was me and you from Jack at that stage.
I wouldn't have missed that.
I thought, what is going on here? Vicky, you saw the highlights, didn't you? Of that game?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to actually see the whole game. I've you sort of miss that, don't you? You go away on holiday and then think, oh, what am I doing? I'm missing football. So I'm glad to be back. But I saw the highlights. I think, for me, I'd be more bothered if we weren't creating chances. But for me, if you're creating chances like we were against Norwich, you're going to get enough goals over a season to win enough games to do well. It's when I remember seasons gone by when you're turning up thinking, we'll be lucky to create one chance, we'll be lucky if we can score a goal, and if the opposition score, we're doomed. Whereas now you feel like we can always create a chance and there was always an opportunity to get a goal. And unfortunately, we used a lot of those goals up against QPR and then couldn't get the same against Norwich. But it's just it's just swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But over the season, that'll balance out, I think. And I'm happy that we're creating chances. I think that's the most important thing.
Do you just get 3 cliches in one paragraph?
I did. I'm going for a record.
I hope Cliche Man's up to date.
The XG is high on cliches tonight. Yes. The interesting thing is, I think against Norwich last season, we created nothing, basically. So that's where we are with that. It is a huge improvement. Jack, do you want to do before we do the comments? Of course, we got this coming up next week. Tomorrow, isn't it? I believe the David Speedy night at the Walsgrave Club. There's still tickets available. I think they're £10. Jack, have we got the banner up there? I'm holding the book up.
Yeah, £10.
Yeah,
still tickets available.
It's easy reading. There's lots of pictures in the book, and not too many words for those who struggle with reading. But it's actually not bad, actually. He's lived the life as old David Speedy. And Marmite, wasn't he? I suppose, Dan, do you remember David Speedy? Or was that you're too young for that?
Before my time, yeah.
Yeah. And you, Vicky?
Just you, Claudio.
Just me, then. Anyway, he was very good at heading the ball. He could chip a ball as well. I think there's one season, I think every goal he scored could have been goal of the month. It was incredible. Right, Jack, comments, please.
Yeah, I've heard he was a good goalkeeper as well.
Oh, yes, he was. Yeah.
Lee Beckett says Phoenix Knights would be a better name, not the Phoenix Lounge. I was working in Hinckley the day we got relegated from the Prem. What an awful day. Rich T says, "Hey Claudio, I live in Hinckley." Commiserating. I think we'll do Leicester 2-0. Yes, a clean sheet. I said it, says Wayne. Lee Beckett says, "Why did you move to America, Dan?" There goes a question. Why did you move?
I moved out here for work. My company transferred me out here, and then got my green card last year. So I'm sticking around for a bit. But yeah, it was work. Yeah,
most places, when they don't like you at work, they just put you in a different section. They don't send you to another country. That's a bit harsh.
Only if they paid you more, then it's worth it. Wendy Heron, who someone you know, Dan, says Dan's a great fan. He talks more Cov when he's home.
It's the accent comes out, that's for sure.
Alex says my favourite Leicester game was the 1999 FA Cup win. We were 1-0 up, then Paul Williams got sent off. Headman had a stormer.
Yeah,
I was there that day. I remember that. Yeah.
Lee Beckett said, "Take that. I've just announced they're coming to the CBS. Does that mean we've got a fixture rearrangement?" Wonder when that is. In the summer. Well, are they doing the stadium or are they doing the little room that Ed Sheeran's got?
That'll be the stadium.
Will they?
Yeah.
They're not as big as they were in 2008.
Not as many of them anymore, is
there? Gary Barlow's a lot bigger. That 1-0 cup game, was that in the purple and yellow kit? Was it the away one?
What, the goalie kit?
No, the purple and yellow away kit we used to play in.
I didn't think it was, but it could have been. I just remember being, because we used to sit high up at Filbert Street, don't you? That's what I remember the most, just being high up and getting overly happy about us winning.
Yeah. Carry on, Jack, sorry.
Steve Curry says, "Dark days at Filbert Street. Even my missus walked straight into a lamppost after the game, nearly knocking herself out."
Shouldn't laugh. Funny though.
Sorry, delivery just arrived. Dave Sports Photo says, "Quiz question. Only Claudio will know. Milne left Coventry to manage Leicester. He took Tom English with him. God knows why. But who did we get in exchange?"
Jim Melrose, I think.
There you go, Dave. You can confirm that, I'm sure. Oh, Claudio knows it anyway. You don't have to confirm it. Claudio's probably right. Chief Business was as good as the cop shop when they sold that hat to Jack. Hey, I've got a fellow hat wearer this evening. Got company. Paul Coombs, "The real rivalry should be Brum Villa, Derby Forest, Cov Leicester." Claudio, I was at the Luton game at Filbert Street. What a surreal night it was. And he says 1-1 on Saturday. Realms of possibility. We need a backup confirmed goal scorer because Sims ain't it. Sorry, Vicky. Now, do you know what, Vicky? We've had a lot of comments about Sims in the last few weeks, but none of them have apologised to you, and they've started doing it again. I think they're scared of you, honestly.
Which is because I knew I wasn't actually here to say anything. But yeah. Thanks for the apology anyway.
Dave keeps calling me Jake. That's not my name, Dave. It says it on the screen. Look, says it there. He said Sheep's got more to offer than see the game out guy. He's class. He'll come again. Jamie Allen's a 10-minute spoiler. Sheep is far more than that. We just haven't seen it though recently, have we? That's what we said. We know he was class. He was one of the first names in the team sheet. He was one of the best players in the championship, but Grimes is an upgrade. And that's it. Sheep wanted out. He wants first team football. Cliche Man says, were they deliberate, Vicky? Nothing worse than a professional cliche taking one for the team. Mark said, I think with our midfield, we have options going forward. Obviously, getting the ball wide is plan A, but especially with Torp in the side, it opens up the middle of the field. Yeah, absolutely. We're looking good from open play, but I wish we'd look more of a threat from corners. Yeah, that would be nice. We never score from corners. It's a paragraph and not from Nicholas James. The first chance Sims missed wasn't really his fault. Sorry, guys, you're off the screen here. The bigger problem is that we move Asante. That move was Asante scupping a golden opportunity that he should have at least got on target. The ball then bounced awkwardly to Sims, leaving him no time to adjust or strike it cleanly. I do agree he should have finished the second chance, but it was his effort that set up Haji Wright's goal. For that reason, I think it's a bit harsh to slate his cameo. Yes, but surely as a kid, you're always taught, expect the ball to come to you. Don't stand and wait and think, oh, someone's going to head it. Expect it to come to you and play it as though it does come to you. Therefore, you are ready. You can't not be ready for a ball. Pagagon says, hi from Barcelona.
I agree with Alex. I said Alex.
I'm not slating him. You know, he should have finished it, but he created the goal. He's got an assist. Hi from Barcelona, says Pagagon. We need other players as I feel teams will defend box and try and grab a breakaway goal. We don't have plan B players who can effectively change games. Now, you said that. And I'm sure we'll go on to talk about the team shortly. But changing Asante onto the field for a Sakamoto, he essentially started the move for the goal. That long ball, the touch, take it down, and then putting the ball through to Milan. I know Milan lost it and won it again, but that little bit of difference that Sakamoto probably wouldn't have done led to a goal. Is that something to discuss?
Well, I think someone's put up there, who do you play, Tats or Asante? I thought Tats had a great first half and tailed off in the second half, but it didn't help by what Norwich were doing because they just sat down, literally did sit down at one point. Yeah, that's all they were doing, weren't they? And it was difficult to play in that second half. But you're right about Asante. That ball went over. That was a great touch to bring it down. And his first thought is pretty much, I'm just going to run at them. Whereas Tats he'll bit more controlled, his Tats, isn't he? He sort of does a little bit of a jink, a little bit of a dribble. And sometimes you do need somebody who's full on, I'm just going to have a go at you, especially it's late on. Defenders don't like being ran at. And I'd be interested away from home. It depends how defensive he wants to be, Frank. I don't know what you think, Dan.
I'll make a case for Tats, I think, just because he draws fouls. Like I think on that right-hand side, if he's kind of doing his little cut back onto his left, onto his right, I think there's a good chance that he'll be brought down. And I think that just with the nature of the game, in fact, it's a rivalry. I imagine like the likes of Kitch and Grimes will be well up for it. And I feel like the atmosphere, could be some animosity from the fans. I think that you could probably make a case to start Tats, try and draw some fouls, maybe get some, Leicester bookings, and then all of a sudden it's a different game. And a little bit like what happened last time, I think we started well, I think, against Leicester a couple of years ago, but ultimately that red card changed the game, allowed us to get back into it. And I think that, if Tats can do that and draw some fouls, and I think you probably make a case to start him. And then in the second half, whether we're chasing a game or we're chasing a goal, you throw Asante on to kind of run at them and do the same thing. And I think that, as we all said earlier on, we created plenty of chances with Tats on the pitch early on in the game against Norwich. So I wouldn't change it for now. And I think for those two reasons. So
What about you, Vicky? You happy with the team selection from last
Yeah,
Saturday?
I obviously then didn't see Tats fully because I've only seen the highlights, so I can't really comment on his performance, but I'm sure that it was up to his usual sort of standards. But I think Dan's made some good points there, and I think that early on, a player that can draw fouls, because they're so very different, aren't they? And actually, that is what is good. They do give different options, and I feel that it probably is the sort of game where Tat starting is the option, with Asante then coming on to offer something different. And I think actually his goal assist, well, it wasn't really his assist, was it? But he sort of started that move on Saturday that led to the goal. That's what I like about him, that he'll get the ball and he's always looking to go forward, but he also is always willing to pass the ball on to people. Like, there's some people that try to do it all themselves, but his first instinct was to go forward and then also to play in Milan, and the whole goal came from that. And that's something good towards the end of games where defences are tiring and like you've just got someone that wants to have a go. And I think probably that's been one of the best things from Asante this season. That sort of new role that he sort of started playing out there. I wasn't sure about the first game, but actually it's been quite a revelation, and it's probably good for him as well, because it's giving him minutes in the team, because he's not gonna replace Wright as the main striker, but he does have options there, doesn't he? And it's something different. And yeah.
Oh, you mentioned Milan, Jack, and I was thinking of the actual energy levels of the team. Our fitness has massively improved, and there were some games last season where Milan was dying on his feet. I know we're only 5 games into the season, but he chased that ball. He wasn't the best to crosses, but he was still alive, wasn't he? And got the challenge in, and it's what we need from him. And maybe it is because we got Kesler Hayden that he's had to up his game. And also, I'm hoping that might happen with the likes of Bobby Thomas, because I think he's more of a threat, his position, than actually Kitchen with Luke Wolfenden. Because surely a guy of that experience has got to be playing at some point.
Yeah, you'd think so. Wolf, like I said the other day, last Thursday actually, I said I don't necessarily see Wolfenden coming in. I wanted him to, but I could see why it wouldn't. I think by the next international break, he will be the first central defender alongside Kitchen. I think that's what will happen. He's not been bought here to break his way into the team. He's been bought here to sort out an issue. He's not been ingrained with the squad too much. We had international break, and his fitness levels might not be there because he's not played a minute of football this season. So it will take time, but he'll get there. I'm sure he will. And yeah, like you say, the competition that Milan's now got, if Milan starts lagging at 60 minutes, he's off, isn't he? Simple as. Yeah. We've got another championship quality proven player that's going to come on and do exactly the same sort of role as him. He's quick. He likes getting forward. It's just Milan 2.0. He might end up being better than Milan. We don't know. But yeah, Milan's standards have got to be top draw all the time now.
Dan, obviously we've got a striker up front who's from the USA, as you know. Is there much chat about him in the US?
It's interesting. I only really want to bring it up. I feel like if there are football or soccer fans, as they call them over here, that follow the US men's national team, a lot of them prefer him to Sargent. They think he's more of an athletic option. I think that he's offers a little bit more in kind of different areas. He's obviously taller, probably quicker, stronger, but I think Sargent's probably much more technical operator, I guess. But yeah, it's an interesting one when you speak to people that follow it. They seem to prefer him, but can't quite work out why he doesn't get into the team. But I think people rate him highly. I know that people that follow the football here really rate him highly, and are not, I guess, bemused that he's playing at championship football. I think that they're, I think they appreciate that he's probably not perhaps the level to play at a Premier League level just yet, but certainly think he could be operating at a higher level than he is. So yeah, I think they rate him quite highly.
It's interesting because Jim Brown pointed out he's obviously scored in the last 5 games, a goal in each game. The last person to do that was Matty Godden when he did it over the end of one season and the first game of the following season. Before then, I think he said it was Terry Gibson did it. We're going back a bit now.
I've just realised the time. Sorry, I'm going to have to head off to the Leicester Guys podcast, but I'll be back if you're still live.
Where's the last? I'll get the comments up in a minute.
I've started some ready for you, Claudio.
Start them for me.
Yeah.
So
See you guys in a bit.
he's currently, he's a threat, isn't he, Vicky? I mean, he could be one of the quickest players in terms of getting to 50 goals for this club, and yet there is doubt still around him, isn't there?
It's weird, isn't it? And so I think, I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I actually prefer Wright to Sargent. If I had the choice of the two, I'd be picking Wright out of the two. I don't know. So yeah, and it's just weird because his goals to game ratio since he's been here has been excellent. I mean, he's probably been unlucky that he's had a couple of injuries. I mean, last season probably would have been around about 20 again if it hadn't been for that injury. But like you said, there's still doubt, and it's just weird. You've got a striker that scores so consistently and has made a difference in games, but for some reason, there's still just questions about him. I'm not sure exactly what he needs to do to quell that, really. But
yeah, I think because they've got Balogun as well and Weah, and they like to play Pulisic through it kind of comes in off the left hand side a little bit. So, I think it's just. They'd say there's enough competition, but no, I'm with you. I'm biased, but
yeah, I think for the City is ideal, and he's ideal down the middle. I know he had to go on the left when Sims came on late on, but he's still got that as well, hasn't he, for us if he has to. But I'm hoping it's the same starting lineup. I think obviously Bobby Thomas, at the end of the day, he didn't have a brilliant game, but he wasn't really at fault for anything. Apart from maybe should have put a block on for the goal they scored. But, he's not been that awful to be dropped straight away. That's the thing, isn't it? It's not like when we came up from League One to the Championship and we gave away something like 6 or 7 penalties in the first 10 games or something ridiculous where nobody seemed to be able to tackle anybody, just foul people in the box. He's been okay, hasn't he? So... But
that's the problem we've got, I think, is that we almost have to wait for him to make a mistake, I guess, which is obviously, the chance that we concede a goal or lose a game, which is puts us in a bit of a bad position. So I guess we either wait for that or Frank has to make the call and say that he starts. And I tend to agree with Jack. I think probably wait until after the international break, let him settle in a little bit more. Maybe even if we somehow manage to get ourselves a couple of goals ahead, then, maybe we see him introduced later on in the game to kind of get him some minutes on the pitch. But yeah, short of us waiting for him for Thomas to make a mistake and he kind of has to get dragged off the pitch. And I think Frank's definitely got a decision to make. I mean, like we were saying, he was brought in for a reason. So,
and he's not played any games. That's the other thing as well. It's coming in from the cold almost, and it hasn't helped that we're not in the Carabao Cup because he would have got some minutes that way. So that's unfortunate. Day Sports Photo says Jim Melrose is correct. We got the best of the deal, I think. Andy Blair told me that Tom English spent all his time trying to beat Elvis Presley. Yeah. He had a funny running. He used to run really weirdly, Tom English. Mark R says, he's like knock-kneed. Mark R, Eccles will be the 10-minute fix instead of Sheaf when he's fit. He was big friends with Gary Thompson. They were really sort of knocking around together because they came into the team back virtually at the same time. Dave says, Jack, what's that shirt behind you? But he's gone now, so he can't answer it, can he? Dave Sports Photo says, I feel Asante is a natural impact player. He's not great, but he brings energy and enthusiasm against the tiring defence. Lee Beckett says, I'd play BTA and get Tats on at 65 minutes when they are slowing down. Trevor Merriman, Asante seems to move more inside like another striker, and like Tats, who's a winger. Just thinking, just put a performance in, boys, basically. For me, Tat starts from what I've seen, says Mark R. Leicester tend to attack down their left. So MVE will need that extra support. BTA is an ideal impact sub. He changes the point of attack. Peter Doolan says, hi guys, enjoying the show. Looking forward to going to Leicester on Saturday with our form. Think we have a great chance. And Ian Price, he's agreeing. I agree with Dan. once I get it up. Agree with Dan. Bring on BTA as an impact sub. Use his pace and energy when defence is tired. Mark R again. You could see the general levels of fitness last Saturday. Norwich Sargent, particularly, were blowing hard at 35 minutes. We've got another awful ref, haven't we, as well? Haven't we got the ref who sent off De Silva?
Oh, no. At Luton.
Yeah, I think it is.
It was funny, actually, because obviously I wasn't at the game because I was on holiday, and everyone was messaging me saying about how terrible the ref was and how terrible the game was, and that Norwich kept on time wasted and all this that. And then when I got back, I looked to see who the ref was and saw it was Gavin Ward, and thought, well, I'm not really surprised. He must be one of the worst refs we ever see. Yeah. It
was, I mean, no doubt most of the City fans have talked about it. The most blatant of awful, you can call it cheating if you want. It was just terrible. Yeah. And it was funny, really, because in the end, the referee added on the minutes, which he should have done, which is great. But as soon as they put the board up for 9 minutes, their keeper went down. It's like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But what can the ref do in that situation? Because, you know, you can't, because two of the players who did go off, actually, one's out for 6 weeks, one's out for 2 months.
Oh, so it wasn't as fake as we thought.
Yeah, so the guy who went down the knee injury and then he was the goal scorer, then walked into the centre circle and collapsed when he could have been easy just to go off the pitch, is actually out now for about 6 weeks, I reckon. Maybe if he'd have gone straight off and not attempt to run around that bit extra, you know what I mean? Nick from Birmingham says, I really feel Jordan Shipley could still do a job for us. Realms of Possibility says, it is the way Hadji plays that people don't like for some reason. Has he just got that persona where he looks lazy but he's not? Is it that?
He's just very chilled. He's just very chilled, isn't he? He's like a sort of like, I think California, isn't he? So.
Yeah, I do think there is an element of that. I feel like football's very different. Obviously, they have a lot of different sports over here that, you know, we don't particularly follow back in the UK. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an American thing where they just don't have that same football culture that we have growing up in the UK. And I don't know whether that's got something to do with it. I think he clearly cares. I don't think Frank would put up with it, and I don't think Robbins for sure wouldn't have put up with it if it was, you know, a case of his attitude. I really don't think it is that. I just think just the way he looks on the pitch, I don't know whether it comes across as casual, because, you know, when he's on form and, you know, he clearly cares in the way that he celebrates with the fans, and, you know, we've seen him get involved and have a bit of bite, I think, certainly sort of, you know, towards the end of last season. And, you know, with the cup run and the playoffs, obviously, you know, probably didn't perform as well as he could have, certainly against Sunderland. But yeah, I don't know whether it's a cultural thing, but no, I mean, he clearly cares. So
I think the back end of last season, he wasn't fit. There was something wrong.
Yeah,
particularly physically. But what's worrying is that he still was put ahead of Ellis Sims by Frank. He was clearly fit. So that's the worry there. So that's why I think some fans don't understand the Ellis Sims situation. So I don't think Frank is a big fan of Ellis, basically. Else he'd play more often, wouldn't he? Rich T says, when Hadji is on it, he's exciting at this level, but some games he goes missing. Rob87 says, Wright has had 19 shots this season and only 7 on target. I reckon that's probably average for most strikers, to be honest. But he scored.
That's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes, I mean, like, even someone like Victor, he needed about 5 chances for a goal, but people forget that now because he's gone, and so people just remember the good bits. They don't remember the games he was frustrating, and the games that he didn't turn up, and the games he missed golden chances to win points. Like, that's the trouble. Hadji's still here, so he gets like the critique for the whole performance because people see that. Once you've gone, people just remember the good bits. So now Victor just gets talked about for what he contributed and not the things he didn't contribute. I think most strikers are probably.
If you look back on that playoff final, final. I know he ended up setting the goal up for Hamer, but he had a very quiet game that day, Victor. Nowhere near had to be seen him leading up to the final. You know, so he was that kind of player. But when he was on fire, well, a lot of strikers are like that, aren't they? When they're on fire, basically.
Yeah.
Dion Dublin was like that. Dion Dublin would score 10 goals in 10 games and wouldn't score for 10 games.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh, he's lost his touch. Then he'll score another 6 goals in 7 games. It was bizarre how he used to score his goals. Wayne Ghost, Hadji frustrated me at times last season, but this season he's been much, much better. League's top scorer by the end. Nick from Birmingham says, it's obviously not Nick from Birmingham, but he doesn't get a look in on CWR now, does he? I blame Wright for their goal as usual. Wimped out of a challenge. Well, he did, in all fairness. But then so did Milan as well, backed off as well. And then so did Bobby. So they're all culpable on that. Dawn Cook, which other CB is going to score goals as well, Claudio? Why not Kitch? Oh, see, Dawn fancies Bobby Thomas, doesn't she? I just think Kitch is better on the ball, basically. That's all it is. And I think he's better defensively. There's not much between them, to be honest. I still think, we still probably do need 2 better centre halves. So there you go. Sargent hardly featured this weekend, said Salop. In fairness, he only landed on Thursday, I think, because he'd been playing for the States. Nick's saying a lot, isn't he? I feel like Kitching was man of the match against Norwich. Didn't go to the game, but my mate listened to CWR and he told me how good Kitching was. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Wayne Brewerton, Hadji looks up for this season, 20 goals, hopefully. Start with Brow. Now, this is interesting because what's happened to Jay De Silva? Because this season, he's been top, hasn't he, Dan? He's been playing really well.
He looked at towards the end of last season as well. I think that it was, I think people were talking from January that we were surprised we didn't bring another left back in. And I think that it wasn't even a conversation. It was a no-brainer that he and Bidwell could be out of the door. And then all of a sudden, when we went on our run, I know Bidwell featured in a few of the games, but certainly when we were looking a lot better, De Silva looked like a totally different player. So yeah, he's definitely come around. Frank obviously likes him enough to keep him around, and we've gone out and we've brought a left back in, and he still can't get ahead of him. So yeah, he looks a totally different player. I think he's extremely good with his feet. I think that him and Mason Clark link up so well on the left-hand side. He's starting to get round players as well. Like he plays off Mason Clark and he'll fly around a bit like Melander's on the other side, and he gets the odd cross in as well. So yeah, he looks like a totally different player, and I think his total approach to the game is a lot different to when Robbins was in. And I don't know whether it's the coaching element of it. I don't know whether it's the Frank impact or otherwise, but yeah, he looks a real force to be reckoned with and hard to replace. So,
Vicky, do you think it's the way we're playing in terms of the formation and pushing them forwards? Because he's doing less defending and more attacking. So maybe that's why he looks a better player.
Yeah, I totally. That's exactly what I think. Personally, I think because we used to see bits of it like previously, and you sort of think one week you'd be thinking, oh, he's great, and the next week you'd be like pulling your hair out. But I think the main problem is that we were concerned about him defensively, but as a consequence, didn't let him push forward. So we almost said, well, you're not very good at defending, but you've got to sit back and wait to defend rather than going on the attack and utilising your skills and actually then putting the opposition team on the back foot. And so I just think that he's being allowed to play the best version of his game to get the best out of his skills. So yeah, I do think it's that he seems to have been given a more attacking license, and it suits him, and it's better for the team, I think.
So do you think there's any reason to change the formation on Saturday, you guys? Or just keep it as we are, 4-3-3 or 4-3-2-1, whatever it's called? Basically 4 at the back, 3 in midfield. Is that what we're looking at again, do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, what do you think?
Change we haven't. We're beaten, aren't we? So you don't. Let's throw in some cliches. Yeah. Don't change.
And I think with Frank Lampard, he's just said, "Look, this is how we play," and he's not changed. And I often think about this, where you see some clubs, especially ones who are really successful, they just go, "This is how we play, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to win." If you're really good at it, you don't have to change anything, do you? And I used to be
No.
envious of those clubs. I mean, okay, you can go to the extremes and say Manchester City 6 seasons ago, where it didn't matter who they played against; that's how they played. You know, they would other teams who had got decent players would change their formation to try and beat them. Um, the irony was certain clubs like Crystal Palace and a couple of others would just meet them head on, didn't they? And sometimes would get a bit of a success out of it. Spurs, in fact, were one of those, weren't they? But I just think maybe if we find the right formula like we're doing now, and you get the right players playing in our system, there's no need for a plan B. You just keep it going, but you've got to be good at it. That's the only thing. And you've got to believe in that formation, and you've got to believe in the players you're picking as well, that they can do it. So maybe that's the way forward. You just have to accept it. This is the way we're going to play from now on. And to be honest, it's, look at the amount of goals we've scored. Since Frank Lampard's come in, it's the highest, isn't it? 90 goals or something ridiculous, or 95 goals. It's just absolutely balmy. So he's getting something right, isn't he? It's just, unfortunately, Dan, it's defensively, isn't it? We just seem to concede daft goals.
Yeah, I think something to be said for consistency. I think that was the start of Robin's downfall. I think a couple of seasons ago, I think he just kept playing. Or last season, he just kept playing with the starting 11. Latabodier would come in at centre half, and then he'd drop Bidwell in at left centre back, and he pushed De Silva out wide, and then he dropped De Silva and he'd play Bidwell at left back. And I think that every fan was just calling for him to just pick at least two centre halves you're going to stick with, and your goalkeeper, and stick with it for a few games and see what happened. And I think that to Frank's credit, I think he's doing that. And I think obviously people have their criticisms of Thomas, and I think people had their criticisms of Kitching too. I think prior to this season, he looks a lot more solid, and I think what you see with him is what you get. I think he will pick up the occasional, the often booking occasional red card. Sadly, I think that's what you get with him. He is just he's got a bit of fire, and you have to accept that. But you'd hope that between bringing in Wolfenden and perhaps another addition in January will solve that problem at the back. But we do ship an easy goal, and not to mention the amount of set pieces we've conceded this season as well. So hopefully on the way to sorting that out. But it's ironic that the four at the back could be identical to the game a couple of seasons ago. So not a great deal has changed, but obviously Bidwell started that game as opposed to De Silva. But
that's interesting, actually. But the other thing is that for me personally, it's the most exciting football I've seen since the late 70s, early 80s, when we used to play with two wingers. It was a 4-2-4 formation with overlapping fullbacks. It is really entertaining. And going to home matches now, Vicky, it's great, isn't it? With the whole atmosphere and the stadium being ours. It's, smiling faces. It's almost like when the team turn up now, they've got the crowd behind them. I mean, we're as good as a goal, aren't we, basically?
Well, that's it. We do that sort of positive environment. Just there can be nothing worse, can there? I can imagine, as a player coming out to a ground that's all toxic and negative, and you're sort of already starting on the back foot, aren't you? You're coming out to fans like cheering you on and all happy and ready to support you. It's got to be count for something, doesn't it? And I think I guess when I started going in the 90s, my first favourite player was John Williams, bombing down the wing. That type of winger that gets you out of your seat, it's always been exciting, and that sort of it fell out of the game a little bit, didn't it? They started doing all the tinkering with different types of players, but actually going back to somebody like F1 that wants to get the ball down and take people on, it is exciting, isn't it? And that gets the crowd going, and it's just that natural positive atmosphere there. So it's great. I mean, we all thought actually the last sort of 5 or 6 years into Robins have been great, and now we're just sort of going to another level. So I mean, what a time to be a Sky Blue fan, really.
Well, it's interesting because I sent you a post from my Facebook from 2013 saying I'm quite enjoying watching Real Madrid and Man City. Meanwhile, we're getting battered by Shrewsbury 4-1. And then you sent me one back from the year before going, that's Peter Reid getting sacked again. So don't have...
What happened there?
Yeah, it just shows the levels. It's changed, doesn't it? It really has changed. Sean McLaughlin says, if you don't get an honest ref, you don't get a decent game. Teams manipulate refs. It's that simple. And you think being at home, we'd get the better of it, but we didn't, did we? Hadji was 20-1 for Golden Boot start of the season. That's a crazy price. Should have been put a cheeky fiver on it. How can it be 20-1? That's just ridiculous, isn't it?
When these last 2 seasons of goals, I mean, it's been in like towards the top. That's a crazy odds. I can't believe that.
Matt Wall, just on the Sheaf topic from earlier, I'm happy with the 6.5, but I can't help but feel we're going to miss him if we get a serious injury to any of our midfielders. Still not 100% sure on Eccles, to be honest. Miles got a lovely message from Ben Sheaf's mum, actually, because Miles went on the Wrexham podcast and they asked him about Ben, and he was really, well, he said what every Cov fan said about Ben Sheaf and his time at Coventry City. And she'd watched it and sent him a message saying, thank you for being so kind and generous. And that she's still going to watch the show. And I think most people will wish Ben the best of luck because he's a top professional.
Definitely.
But there's always a time when it's time to move on, isn't it? Kev 380, my daughter's team, Camden Court FC, playing a Leicester-based team away at 10:30 Saturday morning. So hoping for a CCFC win in the morning and afternoon. Mark Lights. Same for Sims, looks lazy, too laid back, no urgency. And all my comments have just jumped. Sorry about that. I'll just mention again, of course, we've got the David Speedy night a week on Friday, which is £10 a ticket. It should be fun. I'm sorry about this. My comments are just shot off the screen. Also, we're doing voting on Twitter. If you go to the Sky Blue Fans TV page on Twitter, we're trying to do voting for the awards for last season. Now, I know it's one of those things, isn't it? You're thinking, oh, what's the point? Well, actually, there's no historical note about last season's awards, so that's what we're just trying to do, so we can archive it, and so we put some choices up there: best goal, home and away performances, player of the year, young player of the year, that sort of thing. So it'd be great. You could go on there. M. King says Sims is too slow for the championship. Mark Light, Sims needs to reset, starting with a haircut and a shave. Blimey. Finn says Sakamoto is 100% better player than BTA, but we seem to get results with BTA. That's true. Sorry about this. Gibbo says Vixie Yoker has 38 goals in 91 appearances for the Sky Blues. Hadji 33 goals in 76 appearances. There you go. What we've been saying, but he still doesn't seem to get the plaudits, does he? Mark Packman, sorry. If we get the defence sorted and stop leaking goals, Coventry going forwards are a force to be reckoned with. That's the way to do it.
I'm glad that we brought Wolf and did it in, because that's what I wanted, an experienced. Like people were saying about bringing in people like Doyle or that lad from Hull, which is all great, but for me, we needed the experience, and so I think that's a much better signing. I mean, just in being around, like Bobby and Kitchen and helping and advising, like that's what we were lacking really. So I think. So even if he doesn't play until after the next international break, at least he's been around the club and he can offer his experience, and that's what we need really.
Wayne goes to Silver basically can't challenge for the ball with that ref. Well, he couldn't, could he? Finn says, even though has Vicky been away raving again, doing windmills in the field somewhere? Glad she's now back talking common sense. You've been on a cruise.
Thanks,
where did you
go? Cruise. It was like Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and Germany.
Oh, right.
Very nice. So no raving this time. Just relaxing.
You on a recruitment drive, was it? Trying to get some more troops?
I did. On one of the trips, we went past a village where that Torre Andre Flo, was it, that used to play for Chelsea and Man City back in the 90s? Do you remember? We went past a village where he was born, and it was the village is actually called Flo because apparently in Norway, your surname is the village where you're born. So everyone that's born there's got the same surname. So him and 6 of his relatives all played football, and they'd all got the same surname. So I was trying to see if they'd got any like young relatives that we could snap up, but I couldn't find any.
Well, it's a good job he wasn't from the Orkneys in that village called Twat. That'd have been a bit awkward, wouldn't it? So, moving on. Wayne goes, Lampard will show Eccles the way. He'll be a super sub before long. Mark R says, this time last season, the fullbacks were both exposed and no support from midfield. That support is there with Grimes and give De Silva his head to bomb forward. It's so much better than this time last year, isn't it, really? Steve Curry says, apparently Ron Atkinson used to punch Cyril Regis before a game to fire him up. Perhaps what Lampard needs to do to Sims and Hadji. God, you can't imagine that, having to punch Cyril Regis to be up for a game. Be worried in case he hits you back. De Silva pushes forward. You can see Grimes moving back and Kitchen covering, said Trevor Merriman.
Yeah.
Day Sports Phone says, Vicky desperately trying not to say, don't change your winning team. But you made a valid point, Dan, because even with under Mark Robbins, when we'd win a game, he used to change sometimes, didn't he? He'd swap the strikers or swap the wing backs or swap somebody. There's no need, is there? Why? It's so early in the season.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't change it. I think that's a good point. I think the issue, or at least the difference then, we obviously had like Efron coming in and Hadji was playing on the off the left, and he still wanted to try Sims down the middle. And I think he was didn't want to play with that too much. And so to kind of play devil's advocate a bit, but yeah, I don't think he needs to change it. I think that if it works, it works. And like we were saying, if we put 10% of the chances away that we created against Norwich, we would have, been 2-0 up before half time. So yeah.
So we got Onyx Freight. De Silva improvement has been amazing, but he now has Grimes that covers when he goes forward, where before he had no one. So it's always used to be put over his head. I agree with Finn. Going forward, we're dynamite, says Gavston Legrand. Gibbo, Victor Gyökeres. Oh, I think I read that one out. I think I'm almost caught up with the comments. Day Sports. I've seen lowest point. Let's get it in there. The lowest point for me was when we played in the Checkatrade Trophy against the under 23 team, the same night that Leicester were playing in the Champions League. Yeah, I was on site once and there was a Leicester guy, he'd got a shirt on. And we got chatting, and he was just so, I can't describe it, patronising. It was doing my head in, I wouldn't want anybody to be hurt on site, but, it got to the point where I'm thinking, oh, just go away. You don't need it. And we were doing terribly at the time as well, really bad. Gibber says, I think that correct, maybe Statman Jack can double check when he's back. I don't know what that's about, actually. I missed that.
I think he's the one that put about the goals for Victor and Hadji, so I think he's just talking about the comparison of goals to games.
Yeah, I think he's right. He's dead. Yeah, he's dead on.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
Paul Stratton, if our defence turns up on the defend on Saturday, we'll get a result, as we always score goals against anyone. Thomas and Kitchen are iffy at best. So Sheffield United will take another player off us in Jan. Sims, they'll start preparing for playing in Division 1. Any thoughts, you guys, on the return of Wilder? Dan, any thoughts on that? Bizarre situation, isn't it?
I think really bizarre. I think that he, I don't know, has he any shame to go back after? I guess I suppose what he's got for him is he's a Sheffield United fan. So I mean, I feel like it's one of them. As long as they keep knocking, he'll go back. But yeah, a really strange one. And I think I went up to university in Sheffield and still got some friends that are the fans of both Wednesday and United. And they were glad to see Wilder go the first time. They weren't too sure why he left the second time, but they certainly didn't want him back again once he'd gone. They didn't love the style of football he played. He played players out of position, and I think they probably got away with the fact that they had some quality, across the squad, that it didn't really matter where they played them. I mean, Gus Hamer, probably the best, and we'll attest to this, probably the best midfielder, or one of the best players even in the Championship, playing him out on the wing, and he's still got player of the season for them again last season. So it's a real interesting one. But he is an old school manager. I don't think tactically he's got a great deal, but he's working with a really good, talented squad, and I'm sure he'll probably get a tune out of them going back. And it's bad timing, but yeah, I think I'm not sure how it makes sense, but we'll see.
Well, Vicky, I still think, although they're miles behind, I still think they could get promoted now because of that change. It's just, the Wilder effect, you could say.
Well, it does make you think about how much the players have influenced that situation. If they wanted Wilder to stay, and because players, we all know players have got power, haven't they? And I saw what game did I see the highlights of? Did they play Ipswich? Oh yeah, and there's a worrying thing for me if I'd have been a Sheffield United fan in that game, if they hadn't have sacked Sellers, was that the players didn't even look bothered. They were getting humiliated, and they didn't look bothered. And that's something in trouble, isn't it? And so I think really there was no choice but to get rid of Sellers at that point, and obviously bring Wilder back in. But it's just, I mean, it's one of those crazy things, isn't it? Because I don't think it was a wrong decision to get rid of Wilder. I think that at some point you've got to look at a fresh approach, don't you? Like, you need to look at where you're going to take the club forward next. But I've no idea why they ever thought that was a good appointment. Like, it just was a crazy decision. I mean, there's so many better options out there than like Ruben Sellers. It just seemed really crazy. So, yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. They've got enough of that squad, haven't they, to catch up with? I mean, we caught up didn't we, that season, and so they've got more than enough in that squad to catch up if they get going, haven't they?
And the thing is, as well, can you imagine on Saturday if we turn up at Leicester and Grimes is on the bench? I mean, he put Hamer on the bench for that game at Ipswich away, which is bizarre to have a player like that on the bench. He should never be on the bench. It's just simple as that. It's ridiculous. So, but you're right. We were laughing our heads off, weren't we, watching it? So, Finn says, get the Wolf in for Thomas 3 points Saturday. How did you see the Milan is rated fastest player in the Championship according to FC 26? That's from Mark R. Realms of possibility. Accidents happen, Claudio. Yeah. I mean, I could have broke one of his fingers, but he still had 5 after that. M King, MVE was the fastest player in the Dutch league when we recruited him. F1, Mason Clark is. We just need more end product from Mason Clark, I think, and it'd be tops. I mean, that header after 2 or 3 minutes, you should score it really, and that changed the game on Saturday. Wayne Ghost says Wilder should just get married to that club and have done with it.
Dan's right, though, isn't he? Dan was right. If he wasn't a Sheffield United fan, he wouldn't be going back. It's that love for the club, isn't it? That's the reason he's doing it, because no one else would put up with that. Yeah,
you got. It's how they recruited their players, didn't they? Sheffield United owners got AI to ask him to come back. Brian Tully says, return of Wilder is a farce. He said on TalkSport he's back as it's close to his house. So, yeah. It's embarrassing, isn't it, though? What's the Blades going to do if they lose the next 5 games, says Finn. Paul Stratton, would Doug sack Frank if he lost in playoff final? Think not. Wilder's the man for Sheffield United. Stupid sacking. Well, yeah, any other season, those points would have gotten promoted. Salop, Robbins came back, and look what happened then. True. Very true.
Yeah.
Rob 87, that's a good point, actually. Rob 87, I wonder if we're playing away might be good for us this year. Teams less likely to park the bus, so allow some openings for our attacking play. There'll be a lot of space against Leicester. I don't think they'll play like Jack's thinking. They're at home. They've got some good, fast players, Leicester. They'll want to come forward. M. King, the club must be paying Wilder's mortgage along with the free food for life to sell his soul to return to that club. Dave Sports Photos on the same subject says Wilder failing to get Sheffield promoted with that budget was embarrassing. That's a fair comment as well, I suppose. But then you had Leeds and Burnley, so it's, Onyx Freight. Thing is, Wilder will seem a hero if they beat Oxford and Charlton in the next 2 games. True. Would we take Robbins back for a 3rd time? Well, it depends what happens. Because I'll tell you what, just say if somebody does come in for Frank Lampard at some point, I wouldn't mind Robbins coming back, because he's going to try and steady this ship. You know what you're going to get at least. I'd sooner go for a safer option, because it's a bit delicate now, isn't it, Dan? We're at a delicate situation, this club, because we're almost there, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that the issue being would probably be Doug. I can't see him going back on his laurels and bringing back a player that he and rightly at the time took a lot of flack for getting rid of. So, and he's been proved right, with Frank as well. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't go back. I don't think Doug would, but I think the direction that Doug wants to take the team as well, just in terms of the coaching setup, having a first team coach rather than a manager and an assistant manager, and just the modern, I guess, era of football. He probably wants to take us in a different direction. So I think it'd be unlikely. You don't see Frank leave. I just can't. I can't see Frank leaving this kind of as a project right now. I think he probably wants the opportunity to prove himself that he can get a team into the Premiership before he jumps on again. If he does, I can't see Frank going anywhere. Even if it was Chelsea came knocking again, I couldn't see it.
I think what may have surprised Frank is the support as well, because it's kind of surprised me the way the whole fan base have taken to him pretty quickly, really, and have got behind him. And I think that's made a big difference, hasn't it, Vicky? You can see he knows. I mean, that first win away at Millwall, when we won 1-0, and you could feel it then, and I think he feels it, and that plays a big part, isn't it, for a manager, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I suppose because when he was playing against us, we were still in a mess. So the sort of revival of the club and some being so excited and willing to embrace somebody coming in to take us to the next level probably wasn't exactly what he was expecting. He wouldn't have probably known exactly that's how it was going to pan out. And I think you're right, aren't you? And it does make a difference if yeah, I mean, I think I'm with Dan. I'd be surprised if he goes. Personally, if he does go, I want Nuno. So if he's going to go, he needs to go soon before Nuno gets a new job, because that's who I want.
Mark R says, I did read a stat that in the time Wilder was sacked and rehired, Villa hadn't scored a goal. Mark R, Robin's coming back for a 3rd time, depends on who's the backroom are. But I think both City and Mark have moved on. I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, I think that what Dan said as well, it's about the direction of the club now, isn't it? Robbins, actually, when Robbins came back, I didn't want him to come back, because I was upset about the way he left the first time, and so I think most of us were like, we don't want him back. But obviously, it didn't take long for him to start steadying the ship and actually begin the journey, and actually, it was the right man at the right time, wasn't it? Because what we needed is what he created, really. He just stabilized the club, the team, brought some unity back, and sort of sent us in the right direction, which has allowed Frank to build on that, because without Robbins before, we wouldn't be in the position where Frank would even have been looking at coming to Coventry. So it just was the right man at the right time. But now that we've moved on from that position, it probably isn't going to be unless things change, it's not going to be the right man again, is it? Because we're in a different place now. So it's not saying that I've got anything against Robbins, because I'll be forever grateful for what he's done for the football club. But now we're not the same club anymore. So it's about the right man for the current club as we are, I think.
Mark King says Lampard's style of play is more exciting to watch than Robbins, with no disrespect towards Robbins. whose play demanded more attention to defence. I still can't believe Stoke have started so well, to be honest. Rob Murray, Frank genuinely seems happy at City. And Mark R, Frank and his staff seem a bit better on the small details. Trevor Merriman, even Frank's little boy is wearing a City kit now. That's what he thinks of us. That's good then. Wayne goes, as long as our next coach's name doesn't begin with Ruben. Paul Stratton, Frank has won over the fans with his style of football. All of us turn up to see goals and more goals. Attacking plays puts bums on seats. I think you're dead right, Paul. It is exciting, and it kind of feels like when we were in sort of League One, when you thought you're just going to win a game every time you turned up, especially the season we got promoted. That's how it feels like. It's so much more enjoyable, isn't it? Superfan number one. I wasn't that thrilled when Robbins came back last time. He'd walked out on us. The club was in such a mess at the time that we're glad for anyone who wasn't slayed. Robbins deserves a statue outside the stadium. It did for the club. Finn says, do you think he has a sergeant against? Do you think if we had Sargent against Norwich, would have put those chances away? I think we would have done, basically. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Christy Hannity, BTA is more effective when not up top. M. King, yes, BTA is a winger, not a true striker, in my opinion. Steve Curry, almost every player has improved under Lampard. And I think Salep is putting loads of emojis up on YouTube with Super Frank putting his fist up in the air. I've enjoyed tonight. Dan, it's been great having you on. Have you enjoyed yourself? It's
yeah, no, it's been great. Good to chat. I don't get much of an opportunity to chat all things Coventry City out here, so it's been a pleasure.
Are you watching the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll be watching on Saturday. It's like 7:30 a.m. kickoff, so I can get up early and watch it before venturing out. So
well, it's up to you. You can come on to do our after match thing at 4:00 our time. If you fancy it, I've got Jonah from the US as well. If you want to join, let us know.
It should be around, so I'll give you a shout.
Yeah, and yes, it's always interesting straight after. Sometimes the emotions get to you, then you realise what a complete prat you made of yourself. Vicky, it's been great to have you back, obviously, after your gathering the troops out in Scandinavia.
I was going to ask Dan if it's okay. Will you get over to any games this season, or did you get a chance to get back over? Or
yeah, I should be back for around Christmas time. So hopefully get to. I think we've got Southampton away. I'll hopefully get to, and then where we got on Boxing Day, I can't remember, but hopefully get to the Boxing Day game as well. I've got a season ticket which I share with my mum, who goes with her friend. So yeah, we're collecting some points and people are going. So
that's good to hear.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm hoping for an entertaining game. Of course, I've predicted 2-2. What did you go for, Vicky?
2-1.
2-1. 2-1.
Yeah.
You never know. It could be. Why can't it be? Why can't it be us? Why can't it be us? It's as simple as that. You know, it just needs to be us, doesn't it? You need to get at least one chance to get back in the Premier League and have a go. And we'll take whatever happens. I don't care. I just want to get up there.
Especially for someone like Jack, who's like younger and he's never. Like, we've seen it, haven't we? But because Dan, did you say that you started going after we were relegated? So there's fans that have never seen that. They deserve that chance, don't they?
It's fingers crossed.
Chris Baker says, has something happened? Why do we think Frank is leaving? Don't know. We're just asking. You never know, do you? And Salop CCFC says Bobby Thomas goal because he hates a Leicester, and I think we'll leave it there. So thank you, everyone. And we'll be back on Saturday for the aftermath, I think we'll say, and a big play up Sky Blues. And come on, we can beat the Leicester.
Sky Bright Blue Fans TV. For the fans, by the fans.